Here we are. Uh,
No.
Hello, Eugenie Ermis.
Hi, Cheryl Hutto. How are you?
Good. This is a really fun thing that we're going to do today on behalf of Eugenie Ermis, who is a transformational coach for Christian women 50 and over. And Jeannie is here to tell her story, and I'm here to help her tell it. So, Eugenie, welcome. Hi.
Hi, thank you.
So, Eugenie, why don't we get right to it with,
Okay.
you know, letting your audience know a little bit more about you and what brought you to coaching. What we usually have a story that brings us to wherever we are at this point in our life. What brought you here?
What brought me here is I've been a nurse for 37 years,
Okay.
very long time. I have a background in behavioral health, mental health, and even coaching as a nurse. So I have that background, and I have a background in body, mind, and spirit nursing and healthcare. What brought me to coaching is I found a huge gap between the provider and the client, to where the client would go talk to the provider and they would find out all these juicy good things they're supposed to be doing to take care of themselves. But by the time they got home, their life set in. Kids, dogs, husbands, friends, work, and they got distracted from what they needed to do to take care of themselves. And as a coach, you come alongside them and you help them continue to make those positive decisions and to keep that positive, healthy mindset.
Right. Right. Wow, that's wonderful. And so that can't be the only part of your story. I mean, we all know there's a disconnect between the doctor or the provider and the client or the patient, doctor versus patient, which you're not dealing, even though you're a nurse, you're not necessarily dealing with patients. As a nurse, you are helping them change habits and care for themselves, right? And make them
Right,
better.
right. Well,
And
what I found in my journey was that even in the earliest of our lives, we make decisions about ourselves. And these decisions are usually molded by society and the church. And so we as women are molded to think a certain way. And even before I was age 6.5 years old, I had already made 3 decisions about myself. One decision was I had to be the good little girl because my sibling came along. And then I had to be mommy's little helper because my second sibling came along. And then I had to be my family's protector because my mom almost died from cerebral aneurysm when I was 6.5 years old. And I had to get help that saved her life. That plus, as I grew older, we moved from California to South Carolina. And I moved to a very small southern town. And I discovered that people here were very different. There's a lot of discrimination, a lot of segregation. Women were supposed to be heard and not seen and not heard. Little girls played with their Barbies and that type of thing, which is fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. The little boys were encouraged to be out in the dirt and playing. Well, I was a little girl that liked to be out in the dirt and playing. And I talked, looked, and acted different and found that my voice disappeared.
right.
From bullying and from I just withdrew into myself.
Right. So
Um,
true, but even in a withdrawn state, you were at the age of 6, 7, 8 years old, you were taking care of your family.
right, right. Well, at that time, when I was that age, I actually was a leader in my group. I was vocal. I didn't care who you were. I loved you, and I would take care of you. That part of me kind of disappeared when I moved to South Carolina because of I I felt you should love all people. I felt all people were equal. I thought women were equal. That's what my experience was. When I moved to Somerton, which is a wonderful place, my experience as a child was that women were not supposed to be vocal. Little boys were called on the class a lot more than little girls were. Little girls were supposed to be into dressing a certain way and presenting themselves a certain way. You know, they went to the debutante balls and this type thing, which I refused to do. And it's just a whole different lifestyle. And I felt myself contracting on myself and withdrawing because I didn't fit.
And Eugenie, I wanted to ask you if the church, when you moved back east, was reinforcing that, or if that's a completely separate issue.
Well, actually, that's where I found my tribe, was at church.
I see.
I found the Camp Harmony Youth Council, which I became very active in and very vocal in, and was starting to develop that side of myself once again. And then I read these passages in the Bible, when you may be familiar with them, but they're passages in Timothy and Titus and Corinthians that actually say that women are not supposed to teach. They aren't supposed to be vocal. They aren't supposed to dress nicely or draw attention to themselves. And that horrified me because that's where I had found my identity, you know, at that point in time. And I actually went to my pastor and asked him about those different verses, and I loved him to death. He was my basketball coach. I mean, I loved him to death. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Jeannie," he said, "I really do hope you have a good day, and I'll see you at basketball practice."
Right.
He wasn't about to delve into those scriptures with me.
No.
So at that point, I started actually feeling that Jesus really didn't love me, or didn't feel that I was worth enough because I was supposed to be a second-class citizen, because that's what the Bible said in those passages. And that, when I left Somerton and graduated from nursing school, left Somerton, I really started sowing my wild oats. I never sowed them at home because I had to have the good little girl mask on, and the little helper mask on, and my spiritual mask on. So when I came home, I never, ever did anything that was out of character, that they thought my character was.
Right.
But when I was in Colombia, I didn't go hog wild now. You know, my drinking binge was a 6-pack of beer on the weekends. You know, my friends were drinking 2 to 3 cases, and I had my little 6-pack. But to me, that was, you know, that was big time for me because I never drank.
Yeah.
And then, you know, staying out to all times of the night, doing, I still love a good campfire and a beer and a hot dog. I mean, that's the things I was doing. I did experiment with pot. I did. But, you know, I never had a bad experience with it until someone shotgunned it to me. And then I never did it again because I was like, oh my gosh, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And after that, I was still working with kids at a psychiatric hospital. So, I mean, I was still in psych nursing. And I started feeling really bad physically. I was having aches and pains and stomach issues, and all this incongruence inside of me was coming out in my body, in my physical self. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said he ran tests for lupus and blah, 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 blah. He finally looked at me and says, "Would you like an antidepressant?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't want an antidepressant."
Eugenie, I think we're getting to your real story here.
Yes, yes.
Maybe we don't need an antidepressant if we just had the right kind of help and somebody.
Well, and that's what I did. I went to see a wonderful friend of mine. She was a massage therapist, she was an aromatherapist, and she's also a counselor.
Yeah.
Because I was not going to take an antidepressant. And I went to see her, and it was just wonderful because massage actually opens up your joints and gets those feelings out. And then you detox when you get home with a hot bath and Epsom salt or sea salt, whatever you want to use. And then the music and the aromatherapy, it just all helps to bring all that out of your body. Plus, you're talking about it.
Yes.
And the other part I had to do was I had to make some pretty tough decisions. I had to quit hanging around with a group of people I was hanging around with because they were wonderful people, but their behaviors weren't congruent with my inside. So I had to stop hanging out there. I still saw them. I still would go to some of the bars they went to listen to them sing because they sang incredible. It was wonderful. But I went with a totally different group of people and didn't drink anymore.
Yeah.
I can't say that. I have the occasional beer, occasional glass of wine now. I can't say I don't drink.
Yeah. Eugenie, I want to, as you talk, I know that you are coaching Christian women, and we talked about those passages in the Bible and what those passages can do to women. Do you think that women as adults, one reason they're find difficulty caring for themselves is this idea that they have to bear the cross? Do you think that that's a part of it? And of course,
I think that's part of it. I think what I found is that women have been so busy carrying out all the roles that they think the Bible has put on them and that Jesus has put on them.
Exactly.
Mother, wife, sister, brother, church worker. They wear all these different hats and they go through life doing everything for everybody. And then all of a sudden, the kids are gone. They're there with their husband or maybe by themselves. Their husband may have passed.
Right.
And they're like, well, who am I?
Right.
They don't know who they are anymore.
Beautiful. And so what you're doing, so describe your clients a little bit. So what you do is try to help them discover that disconnect and bring their faith, connect with that on a healthier level, being the woman that they were always intended to be and still have faith. Am I getting that right?
Yes, ma'am. I help them if they're ready to unlock their cage of grief, pain, shame, and guilt and limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Because each one of us has a unique voice, and we have a unique thread to the tapestry of life that only we can provide.
Right.
And I help women bring that together. I also help them make friends with their shadow self, because we all have one.
Right.
I was a chameleon. I could fit into that group or that group or this group or that group because I would just make myself what they wanted me to be. So I help women know truly who their identity is.
Great.
And who their identity in Christ is. And that Christ does not consider them second-class citizens.
Perfect.
That they have a voice, and it's a voice that's needed to be heard.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Eugenie, well, I guess those listening to this are going to already know this. Your website and your program is called Awakening Your Roar. Is that true?
Right, Awaken Your Roar. Mm-hmm.
For women.
Yeah.
Eugenie,
I really don't have a website yet. That's going to be in the works, but I do have a group.
You don't need a website. You're getting your message out right now.
Yeah, I don't have a website right this second.
Okay.
But I do have a group, Awaken Your Roar. But I also have a group, Women Finding Harmony in Grief, which they kind of coincide together a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
So are you able to share a testimonial or an example of how you've helped someone? Do you have anything you might share?
Sure. This is actually I'm going to read it because I don't have it memorized.
Okay.
This is from one of my more recent clients. And we did a lot of timeline work. We did a lot of making friends with your shadow self work.
Yeah.
And just writing down goals for the future and meeting them. But she wrote, I was truly blessed to be coached and supported by life coach Eugenie over the past several months. Until this experience with her as my life coach, I didn't realize what a positive, meaningful life I could have for myself. I will never be able to adequately express to Eugenie, I'm gonna cry, what a difference she has made in my life as well as my family's lives. I can finally see a future of hope and happiness.
Oh, Thank you. That's beautiful.
That's what I told her.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take this on too long, Eugenie. What are your, just briefly, like if someone decided to work with you, how would they do that? And what would they expect? What are your programs like?
Okay. Well, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be starting a 3-week mastermind. It's going to be a free mastermind where people can come in. I use storytelling.
Yeah.
And they're going to be telling their story, and we're going to be identifying at least one theme in their story and have at least one action step towards that theme as to help them resolve that or begin resolving that. And we're also going to have a taste of meditation and prayer
Beautiful.
in that mastermind.
And the action step, let me stop you for a moment. Like that's a little mini assignment, right?
Correct.
We're
Correct.
just do some little thing for ourselves.
Right.
Until we
And
meet
it'll be individualized according to what their theme is and what their story is.
Okay. Okay.
But it'll be a group, and they'll be able to sign up for that.
Okay. Great.
I also have a 12-week one-to-one coaching program where we will be using story and themes and decisions that you've made, action steps. We will have once a month a group meeting so everybody can kind of connect and network with each other.
Oh, nice.
And we'll also have a meditation prayer group once a month during that time.
All right.
And that is a paid programming, but we can we have a discovery call before that so they can see if we're a good fit.
Absolutely.
Because there are a lot of great coaches out there.
Right.
You being one of them, so yeah, you need to make sure, because it's pretty intimate work. So you need to make sure that you're.
That's right.
That's right. I'm also a Reiki practitioner too, so I can do some energy work with them as well.
Beautiful. Right. That's terrific. And yes, you're right. It is intimate work. I think especially when we, really bring our beliefs about our faith and this Christianity. And I think that I salute you. I think that you're reaching a population and a group of women who really, really need you. And is there anything that we left out before we close, Eugenie?
I don't think so. I just truly want every woman to know that she is worthy, she is valued, she has a unique voice and a unique gift to give to the world. And if we start even in our own little communities, we can just have those ripples go out across the world.
Beautifully said.
So
thank you, Eugenie Ermis.
Thank you. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You as well.